Oh, fire there. I wanted to come on live, even if I know the timing is a little, it's spontaneous. And I wanted to just express my personal experience in this current energy that we're in. I understand it, but it doesn't mean that I don't have to go through it. And so I can only imagine what those going through it are feeling if you don't understand it. Because this is intense energy, guys. I'm not gonna lie. We have the full moon in Leo tomorrow. And I'm not really gonna talk astrology so much, but I did pull some cards for myself this morning after kind of coming off of a bit of a internal, not internal, a bit of a rage session with the universe, with my guides here, and they're very supportive and have put things in perspective. Again, I got to go through it just like everyone else, and having the ability to then receive insight and communication about what it is that I am feeling, sensing, experiencing truly is a blessing that I'm extremely grateful for. Sorry, just trying to clear my energy here. So hi, hello. And anybody that is interested in joining in the chat, welcome. I'm going to just go through really quick my experience of this energy as of the last couple days. Actually, yesterday and today, mostly for me. I think I was really swimming in it for longer, but I have certain tendencies of my own to override going into the depths of my own stuff, which I am being reminded of now. So let's start off with the last few days for me. I could see it. I see this as a cycle, a cyclic, as a pattern where I'll be in a nice flow with life, with the universe, when it comes to certain things that I've been working diligently with the universe in healing and transforming my energy towards it, my energy, my thoughts, my beliefs, and it definitely came out into the cards. So most of those things have to do with money, have to do with safety and security and stability in that area, survival. And then also, I also have been working with deep, intimate connections with men in my life in the past, and what they have come into my life to show me and teach me. So the last few days, and I see that people are on and off, and that's okay. I'm going to just talk. I'm not even going to, that's one of the first things that came up. And I'm going to just say right now, this energy is, damn, I might use some words. So if you have children around, just be mindful of, I'm going to try to keep it, I'm just going to be real. This energy is like, it's going to get you. So no matter how long it takes for the energy to really get you, you can run, you can hide, but it's going to get you. And I recognized my patterns of trying to run and hide and escape from what ultimately Pluto wants us to recognize yet again. And for me, it's like, damn it, I have recognized this. I have worked through this over and over and over and over again. And yes, that is part of the cycles of life. We come back around and come back around and come back around to play it over again, play it over again, play it over again until those triggers suddenly are not so triggering. And I wrote it out for a few days, seeing exactly that. These triggers, they're not so triggering. Wow, I feel great. I feel confident that not only can I ride through the triggers, but I can also help guide other people through the triggers. But it got me this morning. And it wasn't anything in particular. I mean, these particular things have been following me for days, but I finally surrendered to it, I suppose is what I could say. So I go through these patterns of a very nice flow where I'm able to engage with people and get my messages out across through social media and through in-person sessions with people. And it's very elevating, and it's helpful for not only myself but for the other people, and that's my intention, is to help other people through these really challenging parts of life. And then I suddenly find myself cut back or cut off even from social media platforms and from those that had sessions scheduled with me. Suddenly everybody's getting sick and they have to cancel, and I see the pattern. I see, like, so I go through this lull all last week. We got a snowstorm also. So on top of that, the other work that I do to get income to pay my bills had been basically cut in half or more so, and this week as well. So cutting off from social media and from paying work and other things like that are triggering these wounds in me. And I've got a lot of Uranian energy in my chart. Uranus is in my first house, very strongly aspected. And so I have a tendency to rebel, rebel and just be like, screw you then, universe, go about my way. And I caught myself with that, especially this morning. I did wake up in the middle of the night. Every 2 or 3 hours, I woke up with messages from my dreams. And I wrote these down, getting to know how my body and my energy system operate here on Earth, meaning how I project my energy out and how I also absorb energy in, and also beginning to understand how and what and why I've manifested all that I have so far because of that energetic body, meaning it's reading off of my emotions. So even if we run, we hide, we escape, we numb, we distract ourselves, those emotions are still in there. They're still in there, they're still operating, they're still emanating from our energetic body. So we always question, like, why is shit not working? Well, because you haven't really allowed yourself to go into what your energy is really truly operating from. So we repeat these life lessons over and over and over and over and over again until finally we're no longer triggered. We're no longer in fear. We're no longer operating from the old energy system. So for myself personally, being, I don't want to say cut off, but it seems like suddenly social media was like, suddenly my YouTube channel went like, it's just like not going up or down. It's just flatlined. All of my social media flatlined. All of the humans that I see in person, sick, flatlined. All of the work that I do to pay for my bills, flatlined. And I'm like, what? All right, I see it. I see this. This is cyclical. I've been here before many times. So I wrote it really calmly until this morning. This morning, I'm like, enough. What is it? What is it? Tell me, tell me, tell me. And so I had to really calm myself down and sit with it. Sit with it and really remember my dreams, what was being told to me, what was being expressed to me. And then I pulled some cards. I'm going to share my own personal reading with all of you because I feel like I'm not the only one in this boat right now. And so if you resonate, this may help you. So the first card that I got, and this is a triggering card, limerence. Now, how I have it written here, limerence, it is from an abandonment wound from childhood. It is the desire to be desired. And I had to really sit with that one. But I get it. And it's linked to my father wound. I know this because, and yesterday out in public, going out into the store, I had a stranger just come up to me and like give me all these compliments. You're beautiful. I love your hair color, all this stuff. And I was just like, thank you. And it's almost like I get compliments from people and it just, it doesn't fully, I mean, I'm grateful. It feels amazing for the moment, but it doesn't feed anything inside of me because the person, the one human being who's no longer on this planet, by the way, something I have to continue to heal from is my father, who was incapable of giving me that as a young child. You're doing great. Your artwork's beautiful. I love your creativity. Any kind of like pep me up as a child, nothing. Actually, it was the opposite. It was a lot of criticism. So limerence is an old wound that I carry within inside of myself. And I've done a lot of work. I've seen myself and how I used to really try to show off, I guess I would say show off my artwork, my photography, my whatever it would be that I would be proud of. And it would be embarrassing then. And yeah, I would get compliments, but it didn't feed anything. It didn't feed anything. So understanding the limerence and how it's connected to, I see the King of Pentacles here as not only my father wound, but also the depths of how deep inside there's still negative thoughts connected to my overall safety and security here on this earth, and how I had bypassed a lot of that understanding through most of my life. So I see it and I get it, and I'm grateful for this message, the abandonment wound. Then the next card out, and this came up for me, addiction. I had a lot of anger that came up for me this morning, and I recognized my patterns. And even though my addictions now in my mind seem to be healthier, in my past were not. But see, we carry these wounds, so it doesn't matter what we do with them. It's healing these wounds. So addiction is also linked to the abandonment wound, is to numb or escape or try to make ourselves feel better and not feel this deep-seated core wound. So I was falling into exercise. And then in my mind, there were other things like, I could really, it would be nice if I could get my hands on some magic mushrooms or something like that, just to kind of take the edge off. And all these things went through my mind, and I found myself doing some exercises just to kind of work off the anger. And then I stopped. And I recognized myself in there because I was just getting more and more angry as I was doing that. And I knew when I get in that mode, I end up hurting myself. And at 52 years old, I am not in any shape to do that to my body like I once was. And get grounded is a great message here in this energy, for sure. So I was able to be carried through that energy pretty quickly. Codependency also came up. What is it that I do when things are not working? When suddenly nothing is going my way, things are flatlined, everything is kind of, instead of accepting it, instead of surrendering to it and allowing myself to see, what it is bringing up in me, there's definitely an unhealthy pattern there of codependency that I recognized in myself here. And the devil card is also linked to the addiction. So these are unhealthy patterns that still have still operating below the surface. We all have them, by the way. So I'm not being hard on myself for this. I'm actually very grateful for this message. And I'm grateful for all of you who do receive the readings that I do. They seem to be going deep and touching into these core wounds. And I receive a lot of amazing comments of like, thank you. I needed that. I needed that validation or confirmation. So I know that we're on the right track. It's just that there's times where we're like, what is wrong with me? I thought I already healed this. I've already worked through this. Understand that life is cyclical. We circle back to it over, and we always will. We always will circle back to the father wound, to the mother wound, which is the last one that came up for me, mother wound. And I'm sorry, mother, if you're watching. It's my mother wound in this instance, in this reading, is linked to, and it's funny, the moon came up with a mother wound. And the moon is still in Cancer, I believe, right now, which I don't always fare well in the Cancer moon. It is emotional. Many people are emotional in the Cancer moon. It will be moving into Leo. Maybe it's already in Leo. I'm not sure, because I'm already starting to feel a little better. But I did go through a whole cycle this morning, after realizing that I had sort of brushed aside or escaped. I thought I escaped. I'm like, yay, these are not triggering me anymore. I see it. I'm going with the flow. And then we're on like week 2 of like everything being flatlined, like the void, and nothing is really surfacing. A couple little tiny glimmers. The universe will like show me like, it's not going to be like this forever. So just ride the wave. And I'm like, okay. But then this morning I was like, enough's enough, man. I need like, it's my routine is being challenged right now. I was in a very nice flow with a nice routine, and it just got cut to shreds in the last 2 weeks with nothing I can do about it. So riding that wave, and then this morning it was just like, enough. But then I allowed the anger, the rage, the fear to surface, to show itself. And I'm like, oh, it's still there. Damn, it's still there. I don't believe it, but it's still there as a core part of my energetic field, going back to my dream. Getting to understand how my body, my energy system truly work and operate, and how that affects how, what, and why I manifest what I do in my life. All of us. So my mother wound, it's ancestral actually, is fear of poverty and actually having to go through poverty. It's always been a challenge, and it's still a challenge in my mother's side of the family. I'm very well aware of it. I think it's something from past lives we've brought into this lifetime here. Overall, I have the Page of Cups, which is the universe's way, the guide's way of saying, you know what, you also have seen the signs of that this is temporary, and we're constantly communicating to you. So don't fall into the fear as deeply as you have in the past. And I'm not, although I had to really feel it. I had to freaking feel it to get this message for myself. When I say intense energy, I mean, you guys know something is a brewing. Something is happening that is not fully being divulged to me, although I have been given enough information that I could probably give the full message. But a few evenings ago, I was driving. I have a friend who, she lives far away, but we communicate over the phone, and she was going through a tough time, and was asking for my assistance, and was asking for my assistance as far as being like a moderator in between her and I don't want to like give too much information, but of course my codependency part of me is like, yeah, I'll do that. And then afterwards I'm like, what am I doing? I'm getting myself enmeshed and involved in others' energy instead of, I already know how I can operate behind the scenes here, but it was too late. So, but luckily, as the energy shifted and turned and moved, we weren't really able to get to a place where that happened. But I did behind the scenes continuously pour out my knowing that this is all going to be okay. And I kept telling her, it's all going to be okay. We are really going through some tough life lessons right now as far as how we operate internally, and our patterns. And so really focus on yourself, focus on what comes up for you, and your reactions and knee-jerk reactions and how you handle these things. You've been here before. This isn't the first time. And this is true for all of us. So let's try to do it differently this time. Let's try to internally take these lessons as coming from the universe instead of coming from specific people or specific situations, and for purposes of really helping us push out of an old paradigm. So so what day was it? I want to say it was Sunday, but I'm not sure. It might have been Saturday. She called me as I happened to be out. Oh, right. This is the first time I got out of my house from the snowstorm and went out to the lake. We have a lake 3 miles from me, and went for a short walk. And I wanted to see something was like, go see the sunset. So I'm walking back. There's these dark clouds that were coming. I did take a picture of before the sun was going down. But she called me. I got in my car. It was 4:44 when I answered. And she begins to tell me that, like, you were right. Everything worked out. I had the conversation. Everything went fine. Things are better. Suddenly, everything's working out. And I was like, that's great. That's awesome. She's like, I knew you were working behind the scenes. And that was a message for me. Like, don't do things the old way. You know better. And as we're talking, and as I'm getting my own messages from the guides, I look, and I'm driving at this point, I look over the horizon, and there are 2 suns setting. 2. Now, I understand the scientific explanation of this. A lot of people have been seeing this lately. But I had this giant burst in my heart, my my whole body, energy just flooded my body, and I'm driving and I'm trying to find a place to pull over so I could stop, but I could also take a picture of the sun. And by the time I finally did, the sun had gone down, but I saw it with my own eyes, which was like, wow. And I got off the phone with her and I came home and I just sat with that energy and it felt so amazing. And then I forgot about it. Something else took over me, and it wasn't until the next day that I was like, holy shit, I saw 2 suns last night. I actually saw 2 freaking suns, one on top of the other. I actually did find my picture this morning that I took, and you can see the 2 suns. Well, anyway, I posted it on my social media, and it got all this, everybody was just like, wow. I got a lot of people talking, and my daughter-in-law then saw it, and she sends me a picture an hour later of 2 suns. She saw 2 suns and got a picture of it, and I'm like, what is this? What is the explanation of this? So of course, I Google, and I get first the scientific explanation of, the atmosphere and the ice crystals and whatever, sure. I also know that the solar flares have been, well, actually there was no solar flaring going on at that time. But then I come across this prophecy of the 2 suns, which is an ancient prophecy, a Hopi prophecy. It's on my Facebook, if anybody is on my Facebook. There are many different cultures that have prophesized when humanity begins to see the 2 suns. And it is a time of great change. It's very nicely written, but it is also kind of telling me that there's going to be major earth changes that are designed to awaken humanity's consciousness. And there will be 2 options. You're either the energy is going to either be too much for certain people to handle, and then for others it's going to be like about freaking time. So I got a really nice feeling reading this prophecy, and I know I'm kind of butchering the whole thing, but you can look it up, the prophecy of the 2 suns, which I never heard of before. But that's what I'm talking about with the Page of Cups, is this synchronicity, serendipity, the signs. The signs are big right now. Big, big, big. And it feels good for me to just unpack and unload this, because I was on the fence as to whether to come on here live while I was still kind of working through my own emotions. I literally just came off of just like a big rage. And I've been wanting to go live for the last 2 nights to just talk about these 2 suns. And by the time the sun sets and goes down, my energy just plummets. I have no energy. I've been sleeping a lot, which I'm actually grateful for. Slowing down, sleeping a lot, and trying not to really give myself a hard time about it, because I fell into this routine that was going with a really nice flow for the last few months. Aside from when I got sick and I was still going with no voice. Now it's like, no, when everything slows down, when nothing is working for you, and these are big triggering things for me. I know that I do have enough money in the bank to pay my mortgage and my bills this month, and so I have to be okay with that and like slow it down. Things, I've been given the signs, the symbols, all that. So long story short, before I calmed down, I really let myself go into what emotions were brewing inside of me. I wasn't holding back anymore. I'm like, you know what? Screw this. That's not exactly what I said, but I'm changing my words for YouTube. Screw this. This sucks, and I'm so freaking tired of being in limbo, being in the void, being like, what what is this? Why is this happening for such a long duration? And then I looked at the astrology, and I will, I'll come back on. Tomorrow is the full moon in Leo, and talk more about that energy as I get more downloads today. And yeah, I plan on just going out and getting some supplies for some art pieces that I'm working on. That really kind of helps keep me in a lower tempo when other things aren't really working. So before I sign off here, how are you guys? Anybody want to chime in on their experiences? Because I know my experience, I kind of sugarcoated it, but not. I mean, the limerence one was a really big one, because overall, it's an involuntary obsession with another person, but truly it is the desire to be desired. And I don't have an obsession with another person, but I did have that experience years ago. Some people call it the twin flame journey. I shy away from that term altogether these days, and there's many reasons why. But those experiences, that experience truly did happen. It's very spiritual, though. It's meant to really show us both sides of ourselves in an intense way. But it's definitely linked to an abandonment wound. And for me, the abandonment wound is on the father's side. Usually for men, the abandonment wound is on the mother's side. And it doesn't even mean that you're physically abandoned, but emotionally abandoned, psychologically abandoned. There's no true healthy guidance and support there from those who brought you on this planet, you know? So we have these core wounds where a lot of times we're born into this as a soul contract, and to work through it. And we went through the dark ages, man. We went through the dark age. We're coming out of the dark ages. We're not out of the woods yet, but many of us are waking up out of the dark ages. So, but how we operated and all the patterns and all our thought processes from those darker times are still somewhere buried internally with us. We carry them with us until, we're unpacking it little by little by little. I just wanted to thank you for sharing your feelings and experiences. Thank you. That means a lot. It's not easy. It's easier now than it used to be for me to share. But now I find that those that I actually help the most are through sharing my experiences and my feelings, because we can feel very alone and isolated in all of this, and we're not. Many of us are tied and connected to almost the same type of life lesson, which is why I share this, because I feel like there are many others that are having a very similar experience right now. But even if it's not this personal challenge or experience, we're all being triggered to really let the feelings come up. And we're socially conditioned to not. Now, I'm going to rage in the privacy of my own home. I'm not going to just go out there like, But to let yourself feel that stuff. I was hitting pillows and everything. I was angry. And when I woke up this morning, I didn't think that was what was inside of me. I wasn't feeling that until I opened it up. I'm like, all right, let's unpack this. This is getting really uncomfortable, and I'm getting mad. And the more I got mad, more I realized I was getting mad, the more the rage came up. So let it go. Admit to yourself, I feel like shit. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I'm angry. I have a lot of rage that I've worked through. Yes, I feel more connected to others now. Good, because we are all connected. It's a hard pill for many people to swallow still, but and myself included. But But life will begin to prove it to you more and more and more when you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear and you feel it out. You're like, oh, yeah, I'm not alone in this at all. And that is so comforting. We still have to work through our own stuff, but it's comforting to know, like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy or lazy or, I mean, any of the things that the mind will tell us that because we are feeling, acting, operating different than the status quo that's going on outside of us. But if you really pay attention to all that, you'll see that all of those people are in autopilot, robotic mode, going to work, coming home, doing their thing, going to sleep, getting up, going to work, coming, like all this robotic mode is very obvious and kind of creepy. But at the same time, I give love to them because until it's their time, that is, I mean, I operated in autopilot mode for a good 15 years of my life and didn't know it. You don't know it. It just seems like you're doing your thing. Everybody else is doing their thing. But then when you get out of that, you're like, oh, wow. What was I doing? Who was I? So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And thank you. Thank you. Tuza. Thank you for sharing yours as well. So I just wanted to share that, and I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I wanted to put it out there for anybody going through a really challenging time. Find time to feel your feelings. Go deep into them. There's deep messages in there for you. And again, it's cyclical. We're going to be out of it, but we got to go in it and through it. Don't want to carry that with us. So much love to you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.